Welcome, everybody, to the 31st and final episode for the year of 2018. This is the Oreninc podcast series with Mickey Fulp, the Mercenary Geologist. Mickey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks once again, Kai.
Always a pleasure. It's December 21st.
Likewise.
It's the year end here.
Yep.
We've purposely scheduled this podcast for the end of the week, just to take a look at what's happening in the markets, to see if we see some bottom or a bottom forming post tax loss season. We're going to jump into that and come to our conclusions in a minute. As you guys have been accustomed to or have grown accustomed to, we're going to start with the Oreninc Index real quick. After that, Mickey and I will discuss the markets. Mostly Mickey will give us insights on where he sees the market going, what's happening, talk more about tax loss season selling, and the direction of the market post December 15th. As promised, or as threatened, Oreninc Index. It's looking good out there, actually. We've seen that last year as well. At the end of 2017, at the end of 2016, we've had a massive rally in terms of financings. I wouldn't use the word massive for this year, but we've definitely seen an uptick in the activity. We've seen quite a few bigger financings being announced and actually closed in the recent weeks. I've mentioned a couple before, but recently Sabina Gold, actually today, just a few minutes ago, announced the closing of a $28.8 million financing. That was flow-through it wasn't a flow-through. That was a $20 million bought deal, and an investor out of China participated, exercised their rights. So in total, they came up to $28.8 million Canadian to continue their development of their projects. Gabriel Resources announced a $26.3 million financing on a best efforts basis. And we've seen some major closings as well. We've discussed the Silvercrest financing by SSR Mining, I believe, in the last podcast. And Stornoway Diamonds closed a $30 million financing as well. The scores actually have been upticking, as I mentioned. We've been up significantly, actually, over what we've been used to, the 20-point level. Just last week, December 17th. That's when we announced that the Monday the score has been 60.25 points. We're currently working on the numbers for this week, so stay tuned and make sure to go back to oreninc.com to see the numbers for next week. And this has been up from 45 and 30 points respectively, so we do see a decent trend. And of course, flow-through is a dominant part. And as a year-end highlight, I quickly took a look at the numbers for 2017 versus 2018. And as one suspect, 2018 was a brutal year with almost 50% less, or actually over 50% less of total dollars raised, flow-through and common combined. We've raised only $2.85 billion in 2018 versus 5.5 almost in 2017. So, and one thing that remained sort of constant was the percentage of flow-through financings as part of that. So, just some numbers to take away. Make sure you come by the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference mid-January in Vancouver. We'll be presenting there. We'll have more details, and we'll be at a booth as well. So much for that. So much for self-promotion here. Mickey, let's talk markets.
Well, I'll talk a little self-promotion. I am speaking also at the Cambridge House Conference in January, and our booth is across the aisle from yours. So.
Fantastic, as always. It'll be fun to
see
you there.
As always, exactly.
It'll be great. No, I think it's going to be really busy. I looked at the floor plan.
Oh, yeah, it's they had to rent another segment of the convention hall, so it's much bigger than it even was last year. So.
Let's hope the activity carries over, or not the activity, but the what do you call that? The excitement carries over into the new year, because I'm sensing a bit of excitement in the markets. It's still very quiet, but as we discussed off record here, volumes have increased a little bit on the TSX Venture at least, and but we still see some selling pressure, Mickey, don't we?
Well, as expected, this is still tax loss season. We expect it to end actually today. We'll see generally what we've found year after year after year. Now, there are always anomalies to trends, but the bottom forms 2 or 3 trading days after the 15th of December. So we are now in day 5. The Toronto Venture Index is once again down just a tad, down a point this morning. But it's been down 17 of the last 22 days. the total loss has been something well over 15%, which is pretty normal for a bear market trend that we've developed over 15 years, and we certainly have been in a bear market this year. No big volumes. The tax loss selling looks to be just slow and taking the index steadily down. It's at 536 as we speak. But what this does, and I've been telling everybody ad infinitum here, this gives you buying opportunities. And I sold stocks for tax losses this week. I sold stocks to break even, and I bought stocks that have been beaten up because I consider them to be on a fire sale. So we would expect this to end very quickly, and generally what we find is by the first week of January, these good stocks will pop up to their normal levels, which gives us a quite profitable short-term trades. Or if you want to own these things, it has given you a very low entry point by buying in the month of December. So that's a strategy, and I've executed it, and time will tell if it works again this year, but seldom does it not.
Typically, the trend and seasonality are your friends this time of year. So
absolutely
good guys to hang out with. Like this year, actually, we're also supported by a rising gold price based on what's happening on the macroeconomic
and
scale.
And that is a very seasonal trend too. Generally, what we find is gold price rises in the first part of December, and we should be in a rising gold market through the end of February if seasonality plays out, which it normally does. Generally what we find is, and it hasn't happened yet this year, is we'll take a little bit of a pause in the uptick of gold as international settlements are done by year end, and they're done in U.S. dollars. So that means that money flows out of gold and into U.S. dollars to settle international payments, international transaction, book squaring for year end. And then we can expect a rising gold price again once we get into January. And that generally continues all the way to the end of February.
Interesting. And what do we see on the other metals? What do we see platinum, palladium doing after palladium had that massive rally? Do we see that going back to parity eventually?
Yeah, palladium is overbought and overvalued at this point, but there are supply-demand fundamentals that palladium's in supply deficit right now, and platinum is in supply surplus. So add all that in, and it explains a very robust palladium price. It is at 12.16 as we speak this morning. Platinum at 792, gold at 1259. The precious metal markets and the ratios for them are completely out of whack right now, and that will normalize at some point. I fully expect that if this platinum discount to palladium continues, that auto manufacturers will very soon transfer their buying into platinum and conversion of catalytic converters back to platinum, because it is a better catalyst, and if it is cheaper, then it will be used. That's why palladium was first used in catalysts starting in the mid 80s. It was cheaper than platinum was. So now that that's reversed, it's pretty easy for automakers or OEMs, original equipment makers for auto companies to switch from platinum to palladium and vice versa. All they do is spray a mix of those metals onto a ceramic substrate for a catalytic converter.
Okay, I'm just looking at the silver price here. So deviating from the let's call it industrial metals to a semi-industrial metal I call silver. And now platinum palladium's like you use them in an industrial term because they're used, as you said, in catalytic converters. That's why, but they're part of the precious metals group, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, yeah, I would consider platinum and gold to be the real precious metals, and palladium and silver are much more industrial metals, but so be it.
So that sort of factors probably in through the question because we've seen silver lag behind. So I'm just looking at the price right now; it's 1470, while gold is bouncing. It's not breaking 1260 right now. But let's say the yearly performance, like silver's down about 10%, while gold is almost flat. If you want to be, give that some room there. But why do you see that happening? Like silver's been lacking behind massively. Do you think it's really the industrial use and the China trade? Maybe just a quick answer.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why it's lagging. The fact that it is, I mean, we've talked about how the precious metals, their ratios, what they usually trade at, is completely out of whack, and the one that could be argued is as equally out of whack is the gold to silver ratio, now sitting at 86, and this is quite unusual. I would, we haven't compiled the numbers for a couple of years. But that 80 to 90 ratio for gold to silver, and at the end of 2015, averaged 5% of the time. It's probably up to 8% of the 7 or 8% of the time right now because it's been above 80 here for quite a number of months. That is highly anomalous. And it means that silver is a buying opportunity right now, with the idea you buy silver when it is undervalued and you sell it and go back to gold when it's overvalued. So the median ratio would be something around 55 plus or minus. So I expect that to happen, who knows when, but very strong buying opportunities right now for both silver and platinum.
So, quick answer. Your shopping you've done just the last couple of days in the markets, primarily gold or primarily silver or silver focused companies?
No, I don't buy silver companies.
Okay, no. Easy answer.
It's
there are not many out there anyways.
It's been gold and copper, mainly gold companies. Pick off a couple of copper companies, and I'm bullish on uranium for 2019 also.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that. Mickey, we're running out of time. As always, we usually end our session or our podcast with the number of the week. What did you pick? What was your number?
17.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that your silver price target?
No, not at all. When pigs fly. My number is 17, and that is the present oil price has not been this low in 17 months. This morning, oil's at 45.50. The last time it was this low was in July of 2017.
Oh, wow. Interesting. I don't understand the overreaction in the markets at both ends. It shot up massively, and then it's now almost 50% lower.
That's the specs right? Driving things up and down. The pendulum swings always too far. But, Kai, the world is awash in oil right now. We have too much oil until OPEC initiates these cuts again. We're just got too much oil. And a little self-promotion here. I'm coming out today with an essay, a rant, a diatribe, whatever you want to call it, about peak oil and how it's a figment of Malthusian imagination. So look for that. Subscribers can look for that in their mailbox after market this afternoon.
And people subscribe to it for free at mercenarygeo.com.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Great. Okay. That's
the price is right.
Yeah. Oh, can't complain. Can't complain about free. Even billionaires like a free slice of pizza nowadays. So, my number of the week is actually the disparity between the Dow Jones performance and the gold price performance over the last 12 months. Gold is only down 0.5%, while the Dow Jones is actually down 6.6%. And that's driving me to believe, or leading me to believe, that 2019, and with the momentum in the gold price right now at least, and what we see in the main markets, the bit of a sell-off here, the year-end sell-off, that 2019 could be quite interesting as the retirees or the mutual fund money looks for other opportunities to actually make some coin next year, because they do have to deliver a certain percentage in returns to their investors. So I do see maybe I'm a little more optimistic than I was in early 2017, because this year actually the main markets are supporting our thesis that gold could be the safe haven yet again, with Bitcoin fading in the background. So that's the disparity is the number of the week, I guess. So
Okay, good.
cool, Mickey. As always, thank you so much for your time. It was great having you on this year. We'll continue obviously in 2019, but Merry Christmas. I still say that. I don't mind. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Have a great time. I know you're up in Vancouver, so despite the weather,
Yes.
always great having you on. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk again very soon.
Thanks a lot, Kai, and happy holidays to you and yours.
Thank you.